Thank you so much for making this South Africa's #1 platform for all things sport, but mostly the contributors on the show. Every single Monday with Victor and Mazola, the three wise men, the Podcast Friday crew that comes in, and everybody from the entire continent and world that come on here. You're the reason South Africa is full when it comes to their belly of all things sport. We appreciate you. Le Mapara. Djokovic is on court playing right now. The greatest of all time, one of the best athletes the world has ever seen, is on court playing right now. I can confirm to you that South Africa won a match a little bit earlier. They beat Eswatini. I can confirm to you that there's currently a match, Romania versus Netherlands in the Euros, an all-important match that is to decide who goes through. But I can tell you now that no one in South Africa and on the continent, for those millions that listen to this show, care, because everybody wants to know what is happening with Rulani Mokwena. That and nothing else. Well, you've come to the right place. This is Sports Amplified with Andile on the Mighty Metro FM. I am Andile Ncube. The Super Journal broke the story of the year. It is an award-winning story from what I've said constantly and continuously. The best journalist there is when it comes to all things football, Mazola Molefe, the man that broke the story, the man that got the insight before anybody could even see it. He's going to be joining us. We'll give you the details. What's happening within the walls at Ncube, where Mamelodi Sundowns have been closed off with an executive meeting to make a tough decision. By the end of today, by the end of the show, will Rulani Mokwena still stand as the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns? We'll give you that. And so much more, of course. Orlando Pirates releasing Pule in their latest of players being released. And we've got Dylan Kerr coming back into the DStv Premiership as the coach once again of Marumo Gallants as well. There's a little bit of that. And hey, if you missed it, Mickey Jr. has got the update on Nabi. Nabi playing his last match last night in Morocco. When is he arriving in Johannesburg? The things that he said in that press conference that he was, of course, a part of, and the fight even with the journalists before he left Morocco. All of that coming up tonight. It's exactly 10 after the hour 6. You're in the right place. 10 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM on this a World Journalist Day. I hear it is. We have the best journalist to ever do it, Mazola Molefe, joining me on the line. Did you know that it's World Journalist Day?
I did know from some of my colleagues sending messages on WhatsApp earlier yesterday. So quite pertinent, I must say.
Mazola, welcome. I don't think I need to speak to you for the rest of the week. I mean, I just woke up and I saw you blowing up and I thought to myself, I see Instagram, but nonetheless, here we are. Big story, Mazola. You know, Rulani Mokwena was here. We had big conversations, you and I, with him. And at the end of that conversation, there was a little bit of uneasiness about Rulani Mokwena and the way things are. But nowhere did we think we'd be speaking about Rulani in the same breath and with Sundowns and leaving. You broke the story this morning. Please, an update firstly. How did we even get here?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, Andile, because I'd been chasing the story for quite some time. I started hearing the coach's post-match interviews soon after the Champions League semi-final, soon after that Mamelodi Sundowns Nedbank Cup loss to Orlando Pirates, even in the build-up to that, talking about pressure. I think even when he was in studio, one of the questions was around pressure. How can a guy who's won the AFL and the DStv Premiership title with 23 points ahead of their nearest rival be talking about contemplating his future with the club? You know, just listening into some of his comments soon after they were knocked out by Esperance de Tunis at Loftus a few months ago. And I started sort of kind of digging to try to find out what is actually happening at Ncube, and then it emerged that in fact the relationship had broken down between the sporting director and the coach. But I also assumed that maybe they would patch it up, especially after I had an interview with Chairman Tlhophi Motsepe on the sidelines of their triumph, winning the championship soon after, even though they lost the game to Cape Town City. And he spoke. We even played it on the show the very next Monday evening, where he talks about how he has full trust in Coach Rulani, and he is going to give him all the support that he needs to make sure that they try and go again in the CAF Champions League and win it this time. So you can imagine my reluctance to write the story when I had been hearing conflicting information from within the camp, even how the chairman spoke about him. It wasn't up until, I think, Sunday evening sometime. What is it today? Today is Tuesday. Sunday evening sometime, it looked like now, with pre-season about to start, medical tests coming through on the Monday at the HPC in Pretoria, that the coach then was not going to show up and had not pitched for that particular, although I was still in doubt as well, because as you know, medical tests, the coach doesn't necessarily have to be there. You know, if he doesn't show up for the pre-season training proper, then you start asking questions. And then that's how it sort of unfolded.
So are you saying he wasn't there today as the players were turning up?
No, he wasn't there. He hasn't reported for duty since Monday. Monday, the players arrived, especially those who obviously their break has been cut short. Well, not cut short, but they've been scheduled to come back on this Monday. Whereas the Bafana players or not just the Bafana players, but those who are on international duty for their countries playing World Cup qualifiers last month had been given a bit longer. You would have seen a lot of the Bafana players have been all over the world, some in Paris, some in Greece, some in Mauritius. So those guys are coming in a bit later, but the other group had started arriving in patches on Monday. The coach didn't show up. On Tuesday, today as well, the coach didn't show up, and today I understand the players have been told that Sundowns is then likely to have a new head coach, and it will be Rulani Mokwena.
Well, let's go to the pains in which Rulani Mokwena finds himself in. It is being at odds with Flaming Berg, who is the technical director out at Mamelodi Sundowns. It is something that we've known for a long time, that they don't always necessarily see eye to eye on the recruitment of players, but also on release of players. But from what I'm understanding, it goes a little bit deeper to that, to squad selection and playing methodologies, all of that. What have you found out about what it is that they're at odds on?
I can make an example with a player like Bradley Mojela, who on this very show had come on, had a conversation with you. You asked him plain and simple, which team do you want to play for? He said Mamelodi Sundowns. I can confirm to you that Lisonelo Mojela had been on the wanted list, recommended by Coach Rulani Mokwena and the technical team to be recruited by the sporting director to come to the club. But they were beaten to the chase by Stellenbosch because the approach or the inquiry just didn't go any further. In my understanding, in terms of getting TX Galaxy to agree a deal. Obviously, the coach, he's since given an interview at I think it was Power FM, where he spoke there talking about the decision to let Bongani go, even though his contract, the option on his contract was not triggered. It was up. The coach said it was up to the sporting director as he makes those decisions as well. So. Jaden Adams out at Stellenbosch FC as well. Question marks around where he would play. The sporting director feeling as though he's an ideal replacement for Themba Zwane, but the technical team led by Coach Rulani Mokwena of a different opinion. I'm not sure now whether that Sundowns will subsequently then pursue Jaden Adams to leave Stellenbosch and join Mamelodi Sundowns now that Coach Rulani is on his way out. So those are the kind of transfer strategies that the two didn't see eye to eye on, and just the overall style of play and that sort of stuff. If you read between the lines, you go back to that press conference where Coach Rulani was talking to us after being eliminated by Esperance, where Themba Zwane started on the bench, and the coach even said to himself he believed he made some tactical errors, including leaving Themba Zwane on the bench in a game of that magnitude. And those are kind of the things, whether he bowed to pressure because the sporting director felt a certain way about Themba Zwane being part of the lineup for that match. Those are sort of things that have come up in my sort of digging for more information as to regards to what could have gone wrong at Chlorkop for it to come to this. Just after 12 months after signing a 4-year contract, the coach is now leaving.
Because, Mazola, to be at odds with players' recruitment, who's coming in and who's leaving is one thing. But what we didn't know, a lot of people, until very later on when we started, piecing it together. I think many will go to the second semi-final, word saying that second semi-final in the Champions League, Rulani Mokwena's squad that went out, the starting 11, was highly influenced. This is something that we weren't aware of, that the technical director, his arm stretches as far as to getting to even matters such as that. It doesn't end with just the recruitment policy of the team. This is something that Peter Musimane, wasn't subjected to when he was at Sundowns, because there was nobody above him in that way, and something that Rulani Mokwena didn't enjoy working under.
Yeah, as I'm saying, when Coach Rulani admitted that he'd made some mistakes, I thought he just meant within, the confines of the technical team, alongside Coach Michael Lofman, as well as Coach Mangabamweti and Wendell Robinson as well, that maybe they'd made a blunder by not selecting Thembazwane for that match. But as it would later turn out, as we began digging up the story, which we now published as early as 7:30 a.m. this morning, is that the sporting director had a huge say in terms of how the team should shape up against Esperance. And you would start to think now that whoever comes in would possibly have the buy-in of the sporting director, because there's no way that you chase out a guy with a record as incredible as that. Opta would have to give us the proper facts here, but I'm sitting here looking at a record of 91 games, 9 defeats, 22 draws, and 60 wins.
Incredible.
I don't know where Mamelodi.
Incredible record, that unsurpassed, unmatched when it comes to our football. Incredible.
So I don't know where Mamelodi Sundowns are going to find that's going to hit the ground running and deliver those kind of statistics, especially if given sporting director Fleming Ber's sort of background as a former Chelsea international scout and talent manager for the Danish FA. You'd think he's possibly looking at a European coach to follow the model that he's trying to plant within Chlorkop. But let's see. I'd love to get my hands on that short list that they've put together in trying to make sure that they get in someone to take over the reins in the coming days.
Let's talk about some players that were a thorn in this, and some players that I'm pretty sure are going to be a little bit worried coming into this. One is Thembazwane. From the get-go, at the arrival of Flemingberg, that was very visible. You could tell Thembazwane starting on the bench a lot more, not playing as much as he used to. Then you've got the signing of Thembikosi Lodge. You've got the signing and release of Bongani Zungu as well. Those three players, one wonders how big of an impact this is. But for Bongani Zungu in particular, for him to be let go in the way that he was is something that a coach, Rulani Mokwena, would have been against. As somebody who would have gone and recruited Bongani Zungu, you saw him being played in multiple positions. You saw Rulani Mokwena saying, I can utilize this player, particularly with his experience going to the Club World Cup. This is something that obviously was not a fault on the other side. And the other player that could have been the big thorn here is Serino. He came on the show. He didn't mince his words, Rulani Mokwena, with how he feels about Serino. And that's why I say this is where you could have figured that something was wrong, because he goes on to say in the conversation we had here that it's not my decision. If it was up to him, he would have released Serino a long time ago, because he's got no use for Serino and he doesn't intend on playing Serino. That then and there gave alarm bells to say it's not just the coach here. Something is happening.
I think let's start first with the January signings. Mamelodi Sundowns brought in 4 players: right back Zuko Mdingela from Chipa United, Thembi Nkosi Lodge on a cut price fee from Orlando Pirates, because we are told his contract was coming to an end at the end of the season. Then you've got Matthias Escaviel from South America. Then you've got Tashrik Matthews coming highly rated from the Swedish league as well. Those are the 4 signings, and you could see clearly that in some ways maybe the club was trying to meet the coach halfway alongside the sporting director. Tashrik Matthews and Escavel clearly signed by the sporting director when the coach was asking for an out-and-out striker. The coach wanted Tsegofatso Mabasa as his number 1 striker at the time. There were issues with Moroka Swallows, as we know. At that point in time, he was on loan from Orlando Pirates. Eventually ended up going back. They missed out on that. But the club brought in 2 wingers who maybe can play as a false nine, but ultimately they are wide players. They were not addressing
to try and solve the Shalulile challenge.
And then you've got.
Oh no, definitely not the day for that. Definitely not the day for that. Mazola Molefe coming back. We're focusing on the players now that they were at odds at. And Mazola pointing it out to say the 4 signings that you saw in the January transfer window, only 2 of those, it's almost a shade between the 2 to say, okay, you take 2, I'll take 2, but not addressing what the coach wanted to address. It's Tshegofatso Mabasa that was on the wanted list of Sundowns because the coach had wanted him not coming on board. And you heard Bradley Mujela coming on this show saying, I want to play for Sundowns. Sundowns were keen as far as what we knew. Rulani Mokwena was keen as far as what we knew. But when you've got a sporting director that doesn't see eye to eye with you, deals like that then fall wayside. Rulani Mokwena and Mamelodi Sundowns. The big question coming now to Mazola Molefe, who'll be joining us back up in a few. He hasn't been to Sundowns headquarters. He hasn't been to training. He hasn't been to the HPC in Pretoria where the players have been arriving from their holiday break. At the end of today, from what we know, a man that has just signed the contract, is he still or not a Sundowns coach? It's 18:25, about to go 26 on the Mighty Metro FM. Somebody pointing it out here, I think it's Sir J.M. Moyana, saying, Andile, remember when Ronwen told you that he agreed to a new deal after Rulani assured him that Rulani is not leaving? That was actually Coach Rulani that came on and said that. That was one of Ronwen Williams's deal to say, I'm not signing an extension unless you are here. And that's the sort of player power he was wielding at the time. Mazola Molefe is back on the line. Mazola, are you there?
I'm here. I'm back, Andile.
I'm terribly sorry. I mean, you got cut mid through explaining when it came to the players that were signed at Sundowns, who had wanted who, and the Mabasa deal that fell through when they were trying to address the strikers issue with Peter Shalulile being the only out-and-out 9 per se at the time.
Correct. And Lucas Ribeiro, who obviously shares that responsibility with Peter up front, had been struggling with a lot of muscle injuries in and out of the AFL. So the coach had requested a striker for the January window, but those concerns were not addressed. And in appeasing him to some degree, I believe that's when the Thembinkosi Lodge deal was concluded. And I can tell you for a fact that the sporting director did not want to sign Thembinkosi Lodge. He was looking at his age. He was looking at his record as well, and he would have preferred to sign a player that's a lot younger. As another story that we've ran with SABCsport.com as well is that of Kobamelo Kodisang, who's been playing in the Portuguese top flight for some time now, but he's on the verge as well of joining Mamelodi Sundowns, could possibly join Sundowns on that Austria trip in later this month. So, those are the kind of players that sporting director Fleming Berg has been looking at Gift Links, for instance, before he signed his new contract at AGF in Denmark, a player that he would know very well, have been a Danish himself and having come from that part of the world. But that deal didn't happen as well. So they were moving in that direction, and they were just not pulling in the same direction, so to speak, and agreeing on the transfer policy moving forward. Even, like I said, with the players that have now since left, Brian Onyango, I suppose, lack of game time, it probably only made sense why he would leave as a free agent. Gaston Sorinho, no real surprises there. The coach made it clear when he was with us in studio that he's not going to play him because the player doesn't want to be there. Thabiso Kutumela has been loaned out time and time again, comes back, but probably wasn't going to be much of a feature as well, although the coach worked with him before at Orlando Pirates and had brought him to Mamelodi Sundowns. But Bongani Zungu, also part of the thorny issues as well, given his relationship with the coach, and the coach had been trying to find where to play him and make him fit into the team. And ultimately the club, or maybe one would say the sporting director, opting to go a different way.
You can't underplay how big that Zungu moment is. I mean, dare I say, it was the straw even, Mazod.
I suppose. I would go as far as saying, take it back to January already. As I mentioned, the striker thing. The Thembinkosi Lodge deal may be a power play from the coach's point of view as well, in the sense that he had wanted a player that the sporting director had made it clear he has no intentions of signing. Obviously, maybe by his close ties with the family that owns the club, the coach was somehow maybe able to pull rank and make sure that that deal goes through and Lodge comes over. Heavily criticized that Lodge is taking too long to adapt. Lodge repays him with some goals here and there, but I have to agree. Bongani Zungu with an option that the assumption was that he would be taken and he would stay at Sundowns for another year. All of a sudden, the player is out the door. I would agree, Andile. I think that if the relationship was broken, I don't know what to call it after that Bongani Zungu decision.
So as it stands, it's 30 after the hour 6, Mazola Molefe. It is July, I think, the 2nd today? The 2nd of July. Is Rulani Mokwena, as we speak right now, with Sundowns or without Sundowns? Has that decision been made?
Let me put it this way, Andile. Legally, the decision has not been finalized because they are in discussion over a termination. His agent/attorney is involved in discussions with the club about a settlement because the coach still does have a 3-year contract that they now have to find each other on what the terms are in terms of walking away from that. But factually, Chairman Ncube Motsepe as well as Sporting Director Fleming Berg did address the players this afternoon and told them that the coach will not be coming back. Whether that decision is overturned is another thing, but I'm telling you what was told and said to the players when they've been trickling in reporting for pre-season, that they will not be led by Coach Rulani Mokwena.
Because I do know there's an executive meeting that is currently ongoing even now as we speak. So, yes, if somebody says, from what we're saying, he's still legally the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns is Rulani Mokwena, but it's a decision that needs to be made to release him from his contract and to figure out the payout that then he's due for him to be free. You ask yourself, what's to happen to Rulani Mokwena from here forth? You saw him at Pirates. Pirates is pretty happy right now with what they've got. You saw him at Chippa, not necessarily his best time when he was at Chippa, but when he was here, he did say something. Have a listen to Rulani Mokwena when I asked him on his future. I was speaking to Mazola and myself.
I want to be at this club. That's why I signed a 4-year contract, even though and people may think that, okay, but even though I had bigger clubs in that stature making offers, and I chose that I want to stay at Sundowns. I didn't choose that because I was emotional. I chose that after lots of deliberations with my family, with the club, with the Motsepe family, and also with the players. And so my intentions are to be here and to try to do my best every single day to deliver the Champions League trophy.
That was Rulani. And then I asked him about some of the clubs that were offering him. And if what he said is anything to go by, then Rulani need not worry. Have a listen to this.
The offers, and I was, of course, tempted by some of the clubs. And when I remember seeing my agent, and he put the proposal from one of the clubs in North Africa, and I had never seen so many zeros in my life.
Jeez.
But when I say football is the most important of the least important things in life, this is exactly what I mean. There are things like loyalty, honesty, brotherhood, servantship that are far more important to me than anything else.
So yeah, as far as Rulani is concerned in his career, it's there. But Mazola, would I be fair? And you can take what Mazola said now. That's the gospel truth. He will not be coming back as Sundowns coach, although at the moment, because of what's going on, it's just a figuring out of how do we part amicably. When they say amicable parting, this is what they're talking about, what's happening right now. What is due to me for me to walk away? But would I be fair in then saying, in the wants of Rulani and the wants of the technical director, Fleming Berg, Sundowns have chosen the TD over the coach?
Oh, absolutely, without a shadow of doubt. And I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and I said I also think maybe the coach could have somehow found a way around it. If you've got a sporting director, Timmy is a sporting director, and he says, okay, Coach Mazola, who do you want? I've got Biso, a left-footed striker with 15 goals, and I've got Andile, a right-footed striker with 20 goals a season. You can only have one, So I feel like it's that situation that maybe the coach could have also said, okay, maybe you won't give me the player that I want, but you will meet the profile. If I say I want a striker in January, maybe you don't get me Tshegofatso Mabaso, but you go onto the continent, you go in South America, and you find me a striker that fits the profile. They could come in, slot in, bang in the goals, hit the ground running. I think that situation could have worked, but I'm not there every day. I don't see how they relate to each other. So maybe it goes more. It goes deeper than that. Maybe it's a personality clash on top of a terrible working relationship that maybe the coach felt he just couldn't stand anymore. And as we put it in the story, when asked what should be the possible solution, the coach obviously felt the need that he can step aside and take a sabbatical. How long that sabbatical would be, only he knows.
The other thing, from when the president was still Dr. Patrice Motsepe, and now president of the Confederation of African Football, to now when it's been Tlhophe Motsepe who's the chairman and heading that team, there's one thing that's always been blatantly and gladly obvious with Sundowns. They want that second star. They want to be a notable team on the continent. They want to be a dominator on the continent so that they can move on to trying to be one of the best teams in the world through the Club World Cup. They want to be recognized alongside the likes of Real Madrid, Chelsea, Man United, Bayern Munich, etc., etc. But in order to do that, they need to win the Champions League. They've come close and yet so far from it since Pitso has left. That can't have been ignored either. The failure of Sundowns under coach Rulani Mokwena to win the Champions League, particularly this season, with all the wants that they were able to acquire and get, that must have been a big figure as well in this.
Yeah, I'm told, apart from just the transfer strategies and not seeing eye to eye with the sporting director, another issue was around a particular mandate, if you would call it that. And when you ask Coach Rulani in press conferences about mandates, he would never zoom into a specific mandate. He would just tell you that I'm at Mamelodi Sundowns and I'm expected to win everything.
Yeah.
Even if I draw a game.
That was his answer every time.
Yeah, so imagine when you've gone, yes, maybe by given where they were before, to reach 2 successive CAF Champions League semi-finals was a step in the right direction. Even the coach himself saying, I've signed a 4-year contract, give me that 4 years and I'll try win it once. My predecessor was here for 8 years and he won it once. You go to Europe, you go all over the world, apart from the North Africans that dominate this competition, but it's a difficult competition to win. But that would have come up to say, yes, you won the African Football League in its inaugural year, but we want the CAF Champions League. And it's just such a pity that he's done all that he can and got them to the Club World Cup, and he's not going to be there.
I wonder what kind then of precedent this sets for whichever coach finally does come to Sundowns.
Well, I think it's plain and simple. And if you can allow me to make an example with my beloved Chelsea as well, just a few years ago, that we had a person I felt was the best coach since Mourinho, that we got into the team in Thomas Tuchel, who won us the Champions League. And shortly after the takeover with the Boli era, he just wasn't seeing eye to eye with the new sporting director and those who were running the club. And even months after winning the Champions League, he was pushed out. It's the reality of it. So the coaches that the club has hired since then are coaches that listen to what the sporting director, the vision that the sporting director has. And I would imagine, and I would want to believe that Mamelodi Sundowns have already lined up a coach that's probably going to agree to the sporting director's vision and overall mandate for the club. So in that sense, maybe it wouldn't be so difficult to work alongside each other.
You then wonder about the future of a player like Tebiko Silacha, a player like Zwane, a player like Ronald Williams, who signed on because they wanted to be coached by Rulani Mokwena. But also, he's gone. He's out of here. We've got to finish that conversation, Timmy. Just call Mazola back just to say goodbye before we go to Mickey Jr. Mickey Jr. Is going to be giving us an update on Nabi. Nabi is due to arrive in South Africa. He played his last match in Morocco last night. He was there. We're able to get footage from him to see what happened in that match, in the post-conference as well there. There was a conference after the match had done, which Nabi got very irritated by journalists and was very confrontational about that as well, but also what he had to say about coming to Kaizer Chiefs. So we'll quickly jet off. We love being that show that puts a spotlight not only on South African football but across the continent, and we have all these journalists that are leading journalists in their own countries that come onto this show and give us their understanding of situations as they unfold. We're going to just say our goodbyes to Mazola Molefe. His line not so great, but we're so glad that it held on. Mazola, congratulations and well done. Your hard work. This is a story that many don't know. And for those that are reporting it without giving you your dues, know that your dues are noted by us here. This is a story you've chased for so long, and it says a lot about your work ethic. Holding on to this until you knew exactly what was going on. You're not wanting to be the first and pulling the trigger on something that was not confirmed or that you had a true grasp on. Congratulations and well done on continuing to be my favorite journalist, at least, and a leading, shining example of journalism in this country. One last thing that you'd like to say about this before we say goodbye. Is there anything that we might have missed out on?
No, I think we've covered a lot of it, Andile. Just obviously now working on trying to figure out which direction the clubs goes in terms of their criteria for the next head coach. Obviously, Coach Mangoba Mngqithi will oversee the training sessions for the coming days. They've also not announced a new contract for Coach Mangoba, but his agent has been adamant in saying that they are close to agreeing terms and it should be announced soon, so he's not going anywhere. But let's see. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you, my brother. And I look forward to being back in studio next week. And I just have one last request. The Instagram followers.
Guys, so I've made please, I want to get Mazola to 5,000. If we can do that as this show, let's get him to 5,000 Instagram followers. I don't think that's a lot to ask. Mazola Molefe is at Super Journo on Instagram. Let's please push him to just 5,000. Don't worry, he doesn't post just football. So even if you don't care about soccer, you can follow him. He's got a beautiful family and he was redoing his kitchen. We got his kitchen on Instagram. Mazola, I appreciate you.
Thank you, Andile.
5,000 followers. That's not a lot. He's on 2,000 something, Timmy. Timmy, can you follow Mazola? Timmy hasn't followed. He's on 4,000. Okay, let's get him to 5,000. That's it. Let's just get him to 5,000. We'll take a break. When we come back, Mickey Jr. Mickey Jr. has made quite a name for himself in South Africa. Leading journalist when it comes to African matters. He sits on the front row of African matters. He's up next to tell us about the latest on Nabi. 1843 on the Mighty Metro FM. It's just one of those days you're not going to forget, is it? Because you look at what Rulani Mokwena has done at Sundowns. But it was telling. There was an unhappiness and an uneasiness about the way he was going about things. He didn't have the autonomy that Peter Musimane had, and one that he was used to at Sundowns. Remember how long he's been at Sundowns. The introduction of the technical director there did sour things for Rulani Mokwena. What is to become of the way Sundowns work moving forward? Are we going to be seeing a European coach coming on? You can't think of, is there anybody on the continent right now? Not that I can think of. And we already know the relationship with Pito is one that at the moment, and these relationships get mended all the time. But at the moment, it's a relationship that is going through serious stress at Mamelodi Sundowns. So, what are your views? What are your thoughts? 060-552-7303 on WhatsApp. Call us on 086-000-2160. What are your thoughts on everything that you've heard here? I think it was pretty well covered as far as the conversation is concerned. Mazola was able to cover it all. So it is official. He will not be returning as coach for Rulani Mokwena. He's working on his settlement. And if you look at the amounts of money that we're talking that, were out as of, 2 weeks ago, then you know for sure that it's not a small settlement. Rulani can afford to take a seat back and look at his future and make his decisions. He doesn't need to be in a hurry. He can take a break, perhaps maybe even go do his license. Take time to do that. He's got the time to do that. He's got great pedigree with a 62%, right, to me? 64% win rate while he was at Sundowns. Hey, There's a lot that he can do. Mickey Jr., we're trying to get a hold of him. He's all the way out in Ghana, I think it is at the moment, but was able to get into that press conference that had Nabi, and great conversations with Nabi as well. Is he coming to South Africa? Is he meeting them straight in Turkey? What's been his assessment so far? Is there a lot to say now that he's free from his contractual obligations? But losing his last match as well, did Nabi. Losing his last match as well. Didn't finish very strong out in Morocco. His ASF Rabat lost 2-1 to Raja Casablanca in the Moroccan Throne Cup final last night, which appeared to have cleared the way for Kaizer Chiefs to announce the 58-year-old Tunisian as their head coach. I see you on Facebook, all those that have tuned in. Liam Mashaba, I followed. Oh, I appreciate that, following Mazola. Lutando saying business is business. Pizza will return. Yeah, and I don't doubt that. I just don't think now is the time. I don't think that now would be the time, but I don't doubt that at all. There are no permanent enemies in football, very much like in politics. The budget is too much. They only bring the league home. You know, that's Doomsday there, Mabula, saying, for what Rulani had, winning just the league, losing the Nedbank Cup, losing... but I mean, you're not talking about the AFL as well here. He did win the AFL too. So please, Pizzo coming back is something that Groove was saying. What else here? Johnson, I don't know if Kevin Johnson could be a Sundowns signing. Kaizer Chiefs, please bring Sorinho for a new season. Hey, that could be something. Rulani wanted to sign Messi. Wawon Silulelo. No, man. Let's go to Mickey. Mickey! Africa's favorite journalist, Mickey Jr., now joining us on the line. This is, of course, Africa's favorite show, South Africa's biggest. Mickey!
Hi, brother. How are you?
Mickey, big breaking news in South Africa. We are very busy this side.
I can tell, eh?
Coach Rulani Mokwena gone from Mamelodi Sundowns, something that I'm pretty sure even you didn't expect to see.
I'm telling you, it's such a breaking news. I mean, I contacted him earlier in the day. I think he's busy. He says he's going to get back to me. I really want to find out exactly what happened because I never expected it, you know? It came as a big surprise.
It really did. It really did. But here's another big surprise. A coach that you've been following, you've been keeping tabs on, Nabi, losing his last match. His last couple of matches in Morocco, in fact. He hasn't done very well. One wonders if he was distracted by the Kaizer Chiefs news already.
Yeah, I mean, Nabi is one person I know so well. He's very emotional and passionate about his job. You know, yesterday in Morocco, it wasn't something that is encouraging. And, you know, somebody South Africa, a big club, for example, like Kaizer Chiefs, and he's coming to work. You need to be emotionally stable. Don't know how he's going to take defeat, probably if it happens with Kaizer Chiefs in South Africa. But I know that Nabi is just emotional, just want to win. He's somebody who hates defeat. And what happened yesterday, I mean, it's an eyesore. Very, surprising to see.
Yeah, not only did they lose, I mean, but his conduct as well. A couple of journalists from the continent, sending me videos, calling me, telling me about his conduct as well. Surely not something that, I've never heard that about Nabi before. It was the first time I'd seen a temper like that. And I figured, it's a once-off. This is something that happens. It was a final. Losing a final and saying goodbye to a team like that can't be nice. So maybe we cut him some slack?
Yeah, everything that happened, the expectation was that, I mean, this is his final game, and probably he would love to leave with a trophy for Rabat, the fans, the capital city. I mean, the people who trust him and believe in his work, But they prepared very well for the game. I spoke to the analyst. He was confident that, they work in every aspect of the game. They were ready. They were confident. They believed that the trophy, living with a trophy makes it, more unique. But unfortunately, I think that Raja have more quality than them. They've strengthened their team. They're one of the big teams to watch out for in the Champions League. And for them to lose in that manner, going down, coming back in the game, and hopeful that probably they have a slight chance to win the game, and then all of a sudden all has to go. Nabi just lost it in the press. He was just pissed with the questions that they were asking him. You lost to this same team in the league and also in the cup final. Do you think that maybe you have a weak side, and he completely went crazy? I think that this is something that he has to get used to coming to South Africa, because I know the journalists very well. Everybody will love to throw in questions that can sometimes be irritating, but as a coach, you have to face it. You need to man up for it and be more calm with the journalists. But I think that Nabi going to South Africa, it will be very tough.
You know the coach, you followed the coach, you've had words, with his camp, with himself. What is being said about when is he arriving in South Africa first? Is he meeting the team here or in Turkey? What is he had to say about what he's learned of Kaizer Chiefs since his technical team has been here already?
Yeah, thank you so much. Expectation was that, at first, the plan was for him to arrive in South Africa. He meets up with the team for like a couple of days before they fly to Turkey. But now his analyst is telling me that the plans have changed because of the delay in the Trump Cup final. So now they just have to probably meet the team in Turkey, which is Turkey, and that is what they are planning on now. He told me that they were in a meeting. I tried making some calls to get exactly what the plan is now, but they tell me that they are in a meeting now and they are finalizing things for their departure. I don't know exactly, but I think that they will probably have to meet the team in Turkey because plans have changed. There was a delay in the cup final. They have no option than to stay for the game. And looking at things, they will have to meet the team probably.
They depart on the 4th of July, which is in 2 days. So the coach would then meet them directly there. So the first time he sees the coach, he meets the team, would be there. But what is the analysis that's coming from the team that's here? What do they think of the players? What do they think of Kaizer Chiefs, the ones that have already arrived? The analysts, the assistant coach, the goalkeeper coach. What have they had to say about them?
Yeah, they have communicated to Nabi. There are few times that they met the team. They've seen some analysts. They've seen the data. Now in football, we can't do away without the data and the scientists. And they've studied, they have seen exactly the plan for the future, what or where they want to take Kaizer Chiefs to. Now Chiefs is a huge club in Africa now. I mean, even before. Now the expectation is that they have to go to the next level. They need to be back. They need to dominate in the continent. They need to do everything possible to be in the top 4, even in South Africa and Africa at large. And now that is the expectation. And once this is the expectation, they have to make some changes to the squad. I know that they are speaking to a couple of players. I don't know if you saw my post earlier. I said that Chiefs are going to be back, and I said that for a reason because I know what I heard and what I have seen and players that they are negotiating with, and I think that Chiefs are really, really going to be back. We need to just give them a couple of games into the start of the season. And I know that the expectation is high, but I trust.
Oh, come on. Tell us one. What player do you know that they're speaking to that might be of interest? Come on.
Well, if I have to tell you, I know that Nabi is seriously in a big talks with Fiston Mayele from Pyramid. He was his trusted man in Tanzania with Yanga. Mayele is always ready. He's always willing to die
what
for
a player.
Yeah, if you can supply him the services, he's ever ready to bang in the goals. And I know that they are speaking to him. When it comes to money, financially, Chiefs are stable. They have no problem. They can get any player that they want, depending on the fees, and then if the player is ready to move to South Africa. And so that is where they are now. They are speaking. They've assessed a couple of players, but we have to wait for Nabi to touch down in camp. He takes all the data, he compiles everything, and then they begin to, announce their intentions and the players that they are ready to work with.
Listen, we absolutely love having you here on Africa's favorite sports show, and we love the work you do. You are one of Africa's best when it comes to all things football. We appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, and we'll speak soon, buddy.
It's my pleasure, man. Thanks so much. Have a good time.
One of the best, a good friend of ours and a friend of the room there is Mickey Jr. See, now we've gone to a situation where it's 1856 team, right? There's so much to speak of here. I don't think you're going to get a better breakdown anyway than what we've given you on these two topics. So, Timmy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some of the Facebook comments on our live platform, and then we're going to take some of the voice notes. But I think it would be unfair to take, but it was also important to get all the information out, right? By tomorrow, we'll have even more. So let's do the thing that we do when we open an entire show for calls. And I think we'll reflect on today, play some of the clips from today, and take calls tomorrow. Allow people to feel, allow people to speak. I think that can only happen tomorrow, fairly so. But let's play some voice notes in the meantime.
All right, here we go. Call Metro FM now on 0860 002160.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303.
Waking up, I'm too turned up.
Evening. It's hectic. Ziyapenduka in the football fraternity. For Sundowns, I'm a Pirates fan, but it's a big mistake to let Rulani go. You know, it's a huge mistake. Their sporting director is Obafake Hlathini, big time. Well, as for Pirates, good signings. And I'm hoping
they let go of
Vital takes colors number 20.
Sure, how's it?
Hey.
Ke big boy Mahlakola ka Ratloporo ne.
Hey.
Manager is very sad man go bona a good coach like Rulani Mokwena tloga Moses Shopeng sa Mamelodi Sundowns. Be re sa lebeletse change mo go yena gore at least o tla tšea club and then I share to the next level, but anyway let's hope gore na ba tsebile ke duma boe ka go mabagane a no tla ka mo mabaga juju once. Ke big boy Mahlakola ka Ratloporo.
Andile, it is a sad day to see Rulani leaving Sundowns today, especially as a young black South African coach. But let's be honest, Sundowns brought Rulani to the top as a coach to win the Champions League. They spent 50 million to bring the South American. They went to Stellenbosch to get Mendieta, 10 million. They got Zungu, the highest paid player in the Premier League. And those players are not regulars. They are not performing, and Rulani recommended them. They got large. This is your boiling pop-up beat there.
Good evening, Andile. Good evening to the listeners. I mean, it's Tibo Tashi Wala Sandawana from Pretoria, Mososhanguve, Mo F4. I mean, my brother, it was straight to the point. What Rulani was happening to him, then it was coming. I mean, especially losing to Experience semi-finals. That's when the problem was. And obviously, the signing and coming and goings of players, you could see that some of the choices were not for his choice, but it's for somebody who was influencing. But all I can say is that we wish him all the best. And believe you me, let me tell you this. Peter Musimane is on the way back to Mamelodi Sundowns. Thank you.
Good evening, gents. What a show indeed. Look, man, I don't feel sorry for Mokwena losing his job there at Sundowns. I mean, remember how much they spent January on that transfer window. We're talking of around plus minus 200 and something million that was spent on players. Whosoever the players they bought, you can't expect a club to just win a league that is 15M after that certain amount of money. That can't be. Libona, the owners, they can't allow that.
Why are you guys not listening? You don't care about the AFL, eh?
So you can't say you just win 15 million and then another major trophy whatsoever. Then all in all, it gives you something like 30 million or 40 million in total out of 200 something million. Nah, they can't allow that.
How much was the AFL? Wasn't the AFL a couple of million, like almost 70 million? Come on, don't disregard that. Thank you so much for making this South Africa's #1 platform for all things sport, but mostly the contributors on the show. Every single Monday with Victor and Mazola, the three wise men, the Podcast Friday crew that comes in, and everybody from the entire continent and world that come on here. You're the reason South Africa is full when it comes to their belly of all things sport. We appreciate you. Le mapara. Pela. That's all me.